Well, I feel like I've had a week off building, having had a special event in the other end of the garden there. But here we are back with our rainwater harvester from Graf. As you can see from the picture, that was what it looked like before we put the rounded stones in, 10 to 20 mil. And I've only filled it to there because the pipes have got to run above that. And then of course they'll be supported by the stone, both above, at the sides and underneath. And that will be something the inspector will want to see, because that will be part of the coming from the house there, from the downpipe. Let's look at the components. This is the lid that goes on there. And first of all, with the lid, this bolt here, you give it a turn, you're simply taking this piece round with you. Can we see that bit turning there, releasing it? And also this one here, you can only open from the inside unless you push 4 things down to just bend these in like that, and then that pops out. Again, at this time, I'm not sure if that's where I'm going to take my garden water from, or it's going to come out optionally from one of the other outlets. We've then got the stuff that goes inside, but before I talk about this, here's my problem. We thought we were going to take the outlet from here, 45-degree bend into this direction here, 30-degree bend in the middle, and that takes us across to the soakaway there. Okay, and under this board, which is stopping stuff falling down the side, as is that board there, that's still a 150 mil gap down there, so we can get at the inlets to the soakaway. We thought that would go straight in. However, reading further, I can't have a 45-degree bend, so I'm going to take a 30, a 15 and a 30 along that route. And of course it's a 1 in 40 to 1 in 100 slope. We're pretty close to the 1 in 40 end of that. This has got to be 110 wide. This is very narrow at the moment. This took me about 25 minutes to dig, so you can imagine the depth I've got to get down to get under 150 mil below that outlet, over to 150 mil below. You're getting slightly lower. It's 2.2 meters, so we're looking at about 5 centimeters, 2.5% lower. At the other end, it's got to be 150 deeper than that. It's got to be 150 each side of it, or 2 150s is 300, plus the pipe at 110, that's 410 wide. Of course, this here is about 280 wide. And here's the thing, on the information we had, we think maybe we could get that clearer for Graf, for other people. We thought we had a choice of either one of these outlets, this end, like the one with the plastic there. But indeed, that one is the same height as the two the other side, and the outlet has to be lower. Of course, it's the overflow, which I'll explain in the middle in a minute. So that piece there is in the wrong place. So looking at the components, except obviously for the pump and all the gubbins to pump water out so it can be used. This is the inlet here, and it straps onto this red piece which holds the filter. Coming out the bottom of the filter just here is the outlet into the tank, and it will run down a 110 pipe to this piece that's supplied by yourself. I've got some over there. I'll be cutting up these odds and ends to fit. The only thing I've got is that this length doesn't seem to be specified. I've got 2 options. If you look here, for instance, it gives the other sizes of tank. It doesn't give 5,000 litres. What we will do is measure it. That should be simple enough. Or, failing that, I'll be phoning Graf to ask them. When the water is full, it will flow out of this side through this, catching any physical dirt, and then off it goes to the soakaway. The only thing to show you further than that is the filter. Very, very easy to take off. I've already explained how to take the green lid off. This would then reveal this, which you can take out as easily as that. And in there is a wire mesh, picking out, stopping physical dirt going through. And obviously when you pick that up, you're carrying a lot of that off. You could take that away and wash it. I'll definitely be filtering my water initially on the top of the downpipes on the house, on the roof, which doesn't exist yet. So anyway, I need to fit that end in the inlet, the high point, diagonally opposite, this piece goes in and I can push that into it, join it together with this. But before I do that, I need to cut my pipe to length. Okay, there's our inlet fitted and our outlet fitted. Great care taken with that. Had somebody just holding me while reaching down there. It would have been easier to take the telescopic part off probably. I'm going to lower this into the hole, put this back together, and then see where this pipe comes to relative to here, and that's what I'll be marking off on here, and then I'll report back what the length actually is, should you have the same tank as us, which is the 5,000 litre tank. So first of all, let's put this in with one hand and not drop the phone. We've hit the water, which I should add was put in, there we go, it's on the bottom, which was put in to get it to settle, 1/3 full. It's been there a few days, in fact. So that now sitting there is not going anywhere. Okay, I need to put the phone down now. I'm going to put that back in and make my mark. In fact, I've changed my technique, making sure that that is exactly lining up there. I then made a mark on the top of here. With the foot full of water, that is surprisingly heavy. Anyway, there's my original mark. So when I line that up with the top of here, which was easy to mark in situ, there's the line that is level with the bottom. Sorry, I can't show that any better, but it's slightly difficult to do with not enough hands. So that's where I'm going to cut it, right there. One point to mention on the beginning of this video is that this round stone is not as round as I would have liked, and it meant when we were pushing it down the holes in the middle, we had to fill every single gap, so we'd put literally handfuls at a time, moving around with a stick to fill every gap underneath. A stick with a little piece joined to the bottom to push it sideways. Yeah, so the rounder the stone, definitely the easier it will be, and of course also filling those gaps around the edge of that 100 mil minimum around the edge that we also filled. So the final length of the cut pipe, 8820 millimeters, and let's see if that fits with one hand. Slightly risky, particularly for the phone. Let's pop that in there. What I want is that to rest on the bottom. So the first thing is to push it under the water. There it goes. And then we pop it into that end and get that all the way home. There it is with that horizontal. We're pretty good there. We're pretty good there. We're probably two millimeters off the bottom. We're considering we've got a joint with a big overlap. That's nothing. Okay. So the next thing we can do is push the black pipe in a bit, and so on, bring those closer together, and then we can put our strapping on with Velcro. Let's have a go at that. Well, after a bit of jiggling with two hands and not dropping the phone, it fits perfectly. I'd pushed it all the way home at this end here, and then it stood up straight. Absolutely lovely. Let's get this strapping on. There's the instruction of how to fit the band, but a little tip I found was that, in fact, when you push these through the clip, like it says in that picture, what you need to do is fold it over like that and then push it through sideways. Otherwise, it's impossible. The way I just said is actually quite easy. The other issue was, if you push the pipes together here, the problem is that is exactly as the picture is, having that bit sticking out. And on the other end, this pipe just about disappears. So you clearly have to have a gap there. I can't see an issue with that. This is pushed all the way home now. That's sitting on the bottom, and that's what we've got sticking out the other side. So that is hopefully enough. I can adjust this to give myself a bit more out of the other side. It's not locked in anyway, so it's a lovely joint that can be undone should you have to remove everything. And there we are. The only thing now left to do is, Kim, could you go and get the filter over there? And you've never looked at this before. No. See if you can fit that on. Which way round does it go?
That way? I don't know. I've never done it.
I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know and that's how easily that fits. So you take the top off,
It
obviously
will
not
click.
the...
It will click down.
Does it click down?
I believe so, but I don't want to click it down in case you're not ready for it.
What's what you mean? No, I think that just fits. I see what you mean. Yeah, that's just click down and then you pull it, or it'll unclick. I'm pretty sure of that. Pull it, unclicks. So a really easy fit, and we've already shown how we take that off, we can clean it and empty it. Obviously that U-bend must pick up a bit of dirt, and again, I imagine there's either a tool or you can make a tool quite simply that cleans that out. So that's the end of this part. Then tomorrow I'll be connecting this pipe to where the down pipe will come through this route here. I'll be buying the bits that I need to make the connection with the soakaway there, and then digging that, and that will be tomorrow's video. A little end clip, we were working over there, sitting up here in the darkness, you can just make out there is a female blackbird sitting on her nest. She's got about another week to go, and the issue would be that if we were doing all the floors, which is kind of the next stage here, that would be really disruptive to the bird, or if we were building the walls up and so on. So really, a blessing in disguise is the blackbirds not holding us up, because we would obviously give regard to that. We had a nest last year for the blackbirds, and the carrion crow got the eggs, so we try and give them every support this time. We're very blessed actually. We've got starlings in that tree there. We've got a box for a woodpecker with starlings in it, and we've got 2 other starling nests on 2 other corners of the house where bricks are off. So we'll let them finish before we build.